Good evening. Thank you. Thank you for being with us to the very end. And I wanted, can we give our last group of panelists a little bit of love? The reason why I love Race Forward, the reason why I love facing race, is because this is a space for real talk. This is a space where we're not just here to talk about the great work we do, although it's been 2 days of sharing it. It's also a space for us to always challenge each other on what we can do better, because it's the only way we can get to the world that we all want to be in. And to that end, I just wanted to name, Ashley called out, like, what are we doing, right? I got to say 2 things to that. One is, if you had a chance to sit in on the workshops that occurred over the last couple of days, I think we're doing a lot. I am so proud of the work that I see across the country on a daily basis in local community, and I'm really proud of our ability to be able to name that and lift it up. Second piece I want to name is, we're not doing enough. And so, like Ashley, I want to ask you all, invite you all with your organizations to work with us as we think about what Facing Race 2020 could look like, and how that represents us being greater than the sum of our parts. So I look forward in 2019, as we move into 2019, really thinking about how we don't lose the momentum that has come out of our time here today and the amazing work that you all are doing, and how we can leverage it in more substantial ways, not just for 2020, but for our future, far beyond. I want to do this. I know, I promise I'm not going to hold you all here very long, but do this with me. If we have any, are there still any students in the room? If you are, would you raise your hand, and or if you can, stand up. How about folks in media? Stay standing. Folks in the media, stand up. Thank you. Folks in philanthropy, please stand up. Stay standing. Stay with me. Folks who are in the health industry, please stand up. Folks in government, please stand up. Folks who are in community-based organizations, please stand up. Librarians are here for some racial justice, please stand up. Everybody who's in the room, who's here committed for racial equity, please stand up. Let me be clear on this. You can all sit. Thank you. I wanted to hold you all for a second. Let me be clear. In this room, we have literally represented, over the last 3 days, hundreds of community-based organizations, more than 100 cities and counties who've made an explicit commitment to racial equity, hundreds of philanthropic partners. Truth is, in this room, through our relationships, through our communities, we represent not 3,500 people, but millions of people across this country. And that's our power. That's what democracy looks like. My favorite definition of power is the ability to define reality. And I'm telling you, us coming together as 3,500 people representing hundreds of organizations and millions of people gives us the ability to define our reality and our future. Right? So let me do this. I want to jump to a closing because I know it's getting late. I want to actually ask you all to do something with me. Several folks have done it throughout the course of the last couple of days, but being really clear about how we got here, about our elders in space, about our ancestors. I had a family reunion this summer. This is my dad's family. Most of my family is Tuskegee, Alabama, right? And as a kid, at 15, I found out that my great uncle James had been part of the Tuskegee syphilis experiments. And if you're not familiar, the Tuskegee syphilis experiments were a 40-year-long project in which 500 black men were told they were getting treated for syphilis and free health care, but in fact, the real point was to watch the long-term effects of syphilis to the point of death. And that's a slow, ugly way to die. And I found this out at 15 because we got an apology letter from the government and a check for $27 and some odd cents. So when I say that democracy hasn't always been something for me that I found greatly resonant, it would be a gross understatement. Democracy for me as a young person, all I heard in that word honestly was hypocrisy. But through organizing, through the work of working in local government, through the work of having the great privilege to work with Race Forward, I've been really clear that, several folks named it, democracy has always been what our communities have engaged in. It's never been about what the nature of this state is. It's always been about the resilience that we've seen in our communities. And I was reminded of that by one of my aunties at our family reunion. So we had a family reunion. This is the first time it was west of the Mississippi. A couple hundred black folks showing up in Portland, Oregon, looking a little confused. Are there black people here? But it was beautiful. And one of the things that I learned that was really powerful was that it wasn't just that my Uncle James was part of Tuskegee syphilis experiments. There were 11 Harris men who were part of the Tuskegee syphilis experiments. It's an entire generation of men. And which, of course, it leveled me in many ways. And then my auntie said this thing, which was, but that's not their story. That's not who they were. Look around. This is who they were, right? And so in that way, being able to center our own stories, our own history, who brought us here, is so essential. And especially if we got to get real about what it means to double down on the world we want to build. So will you think about who it is, whether it's a friend, whether it's an auntie, whether it's somebody in one of your ancestors, who's brought you to this moment, that's brought you into this space. You got them in your head? Do this with me. Shout their names into this space. Come on. Uncle James. Come on, bring them into space. There it is. I love. This is why we do the work. It's how we got here. So I just want to say to you all, thank you. There are many people I'm appreciative of who've brought me to this space. And in this moment, I am so deeply appreciative, and I know our staff are as well, of all of you being here and the work that you do. I look forward to actually being able to follow up with you all coming out of Facing Race. And I just want to end on a couple things. You promise they'll be brief, but can we give the Cobo staff some love? And can we please give the staff of Race Forward a little bit of love for making this possible? Thank you all. Thank you for joining us at Facing Race. and with you all in solidarity. Have a great evening and safe travels.